As we have learnt, variables are a key concept in computing. They allow us to store pieces of information for use within our programs. Let's have a look at how we can create and store values in variables using Scratch. On your screen, you'll see I have a very simple activity where a ball can be moved around the screen, controlled by the keyboard. This is the beginning of a very simple game. I'd like to be able to time how long a player plays the game for, and use this as part of a scoring system. This requires the use of a variable, as I'll be storing information and retrieving it later in the game. I'll start by selecting the stage, as my timer variable relates to the whole game rather than any particular sprite. I will now select the data menu, since variables are related to the storing and retrieval of data. From here, I'll click to make a variable. From the window that appears, I need to give my variable a name. There are some areas of good practice for naming variables, and it makes sense to learn these early on. The first is to only use letters and numbers, no special characters such as full stops or question marks. The second is to always start with a letter, never a number. The third is to never use spaces, and the fourth is to use capital letters at the beginning of each word. I'm going to give this variable the name GameTimer. You'll notice this variable is available for all sprites to use. Any sprite can access the value of the variable and store information in it. This is what's known as a global variable. We'll learn more about this later. I'll click OK to create the variable. As you can see, the value of the variable is shown on the stage. Currently, this has the value of 0. If we decide we don't want to show the value on the stage, we can untick the box here so it will be hidden. Now we have our variable, we're ready to save information to it. I'd like to increase the value of GameTimer every second so it counts up as the game is played. This of course needs a loop. Let's drag and drop a new when green flag is clicked block into place, followed by a forever loop, since I want my timer to count up forever as soon as the program is started. I'll then add the wait 1 second block into the loop, creating my 1 second delay for the timer. Now we're ready to add the code to change the value of the GameTimer variable. Since this is to do with the data we have saved in the variable, we'll find this under the Data menu. Here we have two programming blocks available for saving information to the variable. Set GameTimer will set the value of our GameTimer variable to whatever value we pick. Change GameTimer will change the value by whatever value we pick. Since I want to change the value, I will drag and drop Change GameTimer into the forever loop. Now, every time the program runs, the code will loop round, waiting 1 second before adding 1 to the value of GameTimer. However, if we stop and then restart the program, you can see we have a little bug. The value of GameTimer is not starting back at 0. Well, this is easy to fix. We will simply set the value of the variable GameTimer to 0 once the game starts. Under the Data menu, let's drag and drop Set GameTimer into place here. Now when the program runs, the value of the GameTimer variable will be reset to 0 and will then increase by 1 every second. As you can see, we can easily create variables to store information and then set or change their values in our programs.